You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia
Grant. Good evening, Radio 1 listeners. I'm here in the Radio 1 studio live, and I'm so glad you've tuned in. Spirit 1340 WYCB Radio 1, Washington, D.C. Today is Friday, November 12th, 2021. And our show is heard throughout the DMV. Welcome to our show. My guest today is Busboys and Poets franchise owner, must I say, Mr. Andy Shallal. Hello, Andy. How are you today?
Hello, Lydia. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I'm so glad you're going to be here today, and I thank you for being on early. I know you're going to be my second guest, but I just like to know both of my folks are in place. So thank you for being here early. You're going to enjoy listening to Dr. Julianne Malvo. You already know her.
Of course.
Dr.
Yeah, we
Julia.
we had a show together for a long time. Now she moved out of the area. We hope she comes back.
Yes, Dr. Julianne, talk to us about politics. How are you today?
Well, first of all, let me just highlight Andy, my buddy. I miss you, Andy. I'm going to have to highlight you.
Hey, I miss you too. I miss you too. I hope you come back soon. Get together.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. You are brilliant, and you are just such an advocate for all of our marginalized people. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Let me do my politics for a minute, just a few. So first of all, what we learned today, I was on a Zoom when someone texted me and said, Rittenhouse Golf. This is BS that I have ever experienced. This child gets on a conveyance, takes himself to a city he doesn't live in with a weapon, shoots people, and gets off. Well, this really is about weaponizing white people, and especially white men, who basically jack up black people, and especially black men. And so we're seeing it also in the Arbery case, where this man, Kevin Goff, has the temerity to raise the question, how many pastors do they have? Well, what he forgets is that we as black people are connected. When you lynch somebody, you lynch everybody. So as many pastors as they want to have, they can have. The fact that this man would 4 days in a row raise objections to Reverend Jackson's presence is absurd. That's all I have to say. But see, Sharpton and Jackson are time enough for them. 300 pastors showed up yesterday. 300.
Yes.
But still, the Rittenhouse trial is a disappointment. And even more disappointing is President Biden's response, we have to deal with the jury system. No, we don't. Now when the jury system is rigged. So anyway, just saying. Now, the most important political news right this minute is that the House, of course, has approved the Biden spending plan, the infrastructure plan, but it's going to go to the Senate. So the question is what happens when it goes to the Senate, especially with Manchin and Sinema being themselves, and that's not a compliment. Basically, what we know about this going to the Senate is they're trying to whittle some things away. Already we know that the Democrats have not been firm enough. As an example, why are we basically giving blue states, Democratic states, a break on taxation? I know that that previous man, the former president, had his tax plan to punish Democrats, but the money that we're going to give back is enough money to fund the child care tax credit, to fund Medicare expansion, to fund like 5 things. So why are we doing this? And this is a question that we have to ask, and we have to ask Democrats. Now, third, Kamala Harris is getting her behind kicked by the mainstream media. Vanity Fair had a piece just yesterday where they talked about how she's not doing so well. Her approval rating is 28%, 10% below President Biden's approval rating of 38%, which still ain't nothing to write home about. What we have to know about all of this is that we have to look at this through a lens that is both racial and gendered. Why is this woman being judged so harshly? Because she is a black Indian American woman. Were she anybody else, it would not be an issue. But clearly in the White House, the knives are out and people are lining up around whether or not she is the heir apparent. Some people have undermined Transportation Secretary Buttigieg by giving President Biden has been Marty Walsh, former mayor of Boston, the ability. No, it's not Marty. I'm sorry. It's Landrieu, former mayor of New Orleans, the ability to dole out the infrastructure funds. This undermines Buttigieg and it's wrong. And President Biden has, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was giving him last week. This week I'm giving him a 6. And it could go to a 4. It really actually could. Now, the Congress is crazy. Can I say that? Again, the Congress is crazy. So you got this man who basically turns himself into a cartoon character and slays Alexandria AOC. He slays her in a cartoon and throws swords at the president. And only 3 Republicans can vote that he should be censured? Well, he should be more than censured. He should be drawn and quartered, or at least kicked out of the Congress. He made a threat to a colleague. Let me repeat that. He made a threat to a colleague. Bless the Democrats for censoring him, but shame on Republicans for thinking this is okay. It's not okay to threaten somebody like that. It's not okay to say that you're going to throw swords at the president of the United States. That's the kind of action that led to what happened on January 6th. So we have to be really, really very clear about who these people are and what's wrong with them. And that's the only word I can use. What's wrong with them? And I'm sure Andy will have a lot more to say about that, but I'm appalled at the level of violence that keeps escalating and the level that escalates and is targeted. So that if someone starts throwing swords at President Biden, they were given permission by a member of Congress. If someone attempts murder on AOC, they were given permission by a member of Congress. This is unacceptable, and we have to be really, really clear that it's unacceptable. So y'all Republicans listen. I know some of y'all Republicans listen because y'all listen to us all the time. Y'all need to pick up your telephone and call your Republican member of Congress and say, this is simply unacceptable. We're not having it. We're not doing it. It is frightening and it's absurd. I mean, but we are living in a frightening and absurd time where, again, white men have been deputized to do whatever they feel like doing to people of color, especially black people. White men have been deputized to walk around with guns. I'm still thinking about the Ahmaud Arbery case where this guy says he was afraid. Well, if you are afraid, take your white behind home. Mm-hmm. Walk back into your house and close the door and lock it. You don't have to shoot nobody. Mm-hmm. Just do that. But that's kind of where we are. So we have a number of challenges right now, Lyndia, around the politics, and they're about to go out. Nancy will probably keep them as long as she can, but the Thanksgiving break is upon us. And with that Thanksgiving break upon us, who knows what will get done before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot that needs to be done. And listeners, it's on you to call your member of Congress, be they a D or an R or an I, and say, this is unacceptable. Call your senators and say, this is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. That's it for me, Lyndia.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Julian. We enjoyed hearing you today. I'm so shocked you didn't mention the 8 hours and 33 minutes, but that's okay. We're going to leave that right where it is.
I don't mess. I do mess.
I know that's right, because that is truly some doo-doo. All right. Let's move on. Thank you so much, Dr. Julian Malvo, for talking politics. We're going to come back after our commercial break, and we're going to talk to Mr. Andy Shallal, owner of 8 or 9 Busboys and Poets. I looked it up last night, and I think it's 9. But anyway, he'll get it straight. I'm so happy, and I'm excited about it and hoping maybe he can help take it all over the country. Back in a moment.
I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Who Moved My Cheese is a book about two types of people, those who accept change quickly and move on, and those who hem and haw and try to figure things out. They didn't see change coming and waste valuable time trying to figure out what happened. How did this happen to me? Let's call this group procrastinators. The lesson inside the cheese story is simple. Life is change. Brother said it best when he said, if I accept you as you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though you are what you're capable of becoming, I help you become that. We must change and keep moving. The Bible tells us to seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open unto you, ask and it shall be given.
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
And we are back. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show here on Spirit 1340 WYCB Radio 1. Now I'm going to introduce my second guest. I met Andy Shallal when my banker's son, he worked for Industrial Bank at the time. He had just graduated from Morehouse College and majored in finance, and I was so pleased that he was able to get hired at Industrial Bank. Well, he was walking the beat on U Street, going from business to business, and he got so excited about Andy, and we just talked. I don't know if Andy remembers Ron, but he is the one that caused me to meet you, Andy. And then during the same time, I don't even remember how I got involved in it, but I got involved in being the coordinator for the Langston Hughes sign with the mayor and the city council member, Jim Graham. So I had to work out the details to make sure that ribbon cutting unveiling ceremony happened. So then I knew Andy because I had to keep working with you for one reason or another. But let me just tell the folks that Andy Shallal is somebody in this District of Columbia. First of all, he ran for mayor, and I hope that you'll try that again because you're just such a brilliant man. From what I can count, he's got 10 locations of Busboys and Poets. And he can correct me because I'm going to turn it over to him after I just announced this. 14th and V, 450 K Street, Brooklyn, Tacoma, Anacostia, Hyattsville, Shirlington, Columbia, Baltimore, and Arlington. So, you
got it all right.
And see, so
you got it perfect.
All right. So, and his family moved to the United States from Iraq when he was 11 years old, listeners. In case you've been eating there and you don't know who Andy is. He finished college early, got into medical school at Howard University, realized that medical school wasn't his forte, so he quit after one semester. Smart man. He wasn't getting ready to fool with that. Says he never afraid to quit doing something when he knows it's not right for him. While working as a waiter on the West Coast, he realized he loved the restaurant business. I cut the rest off because I said, let Andy take it from there. Andy Shallal, talk to us today about your miracles you've been working over here.
Well, thank you so much, Lydia. Thank you so much for having me. And I always enjoy listening to Dr. Malveaux because she is one talented, incredible speaker and she can weave stories and tell stories and really, has great analysis and just fast and quick on her feet. I always love doing the show with her. But I wanted to go back to Industrial Bank. Let me tell you something about Industrial Bank. When I was getting ready to open my first Busboys and Poets back in 2005, at that time, or was it 2003, when I was looking for some financing for the place, I took my business plan and took it to many banks. I took it to Bank of America. I took it to Riggs Bank back then. I took it to a few other banks, and everybody turned me down for any financing. So finally, I went to Industrial Bank. As soon as I sat in front of Industrial Bank, the people there, the person that was helping me knew exactly what I was up to. And they looked at it in a different lens. And suddenly, what looked like a ridiculous business plan, which I even will be willing to admit it was, they helped me change it and reword it in such a way that made it possible for me to end up getting the loan. So I got my loan from Industrial Bank.
Wonderful.
And I've been dealing with them ever since. I got my house loan from Industrial Bank. I've refinanced from Industrial Bank. It's really one of the treasures that we have here in D.C. It's one of the oldest black banks in the country. And it's a very, very important institution that has helped many small businesses, including myself, to be able to take off and thrive. So that was really much appreciated.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad I brought that up because my son was working there. He works at a big bank in Atlanta, Georgia now. He lives in Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talk to us about your business and how you've been. Every time I look, it's another ribbon cutting.
Well, we just opened our place in Columbia, Maryland. And, Columbia is a very progressive community. It has one of the most diverse communities there. And I remember going up to Columbia a couple of times and going to some of the restaurants, and I didn't see the diversity there that people talk about, but I knew people were there. So we ended up putting the place there, opened up about a month ago. And I tell you, from the day we opened, the diversity came out. People came out. And it's living proof that you got to build it and they'll show up. If you build it, they will show up. So it's been a great run for us. Really, really proud of what we've done there in Columbia. It's our largest location. In fact, we're going to be having a big New Year's Eve celebration there with a big tent. Hopefully about 800 to 1,000 people will show up. We already have Angela Davis and her partner Gina Dent are going to be there in person. We have the great, incredible poet Sonia Sanchez, a sister from the heart. She's going to be there. We have Michael Eric Dyson is going to be there. We have Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Is going to be there. And we're going to have a lot more people, obviously, but these are already confirmed. And we are so excited and hope all of you, everybody, all the listeners come out and enjoy a New Year's Eve that has more than just, party favors and champagne, but a lot more than that, has social justice built into it and conversations with really, really incredible people to kick off the new year for all of us.
I am so delighted. You said Columbia is now your largest location.
It is. It holds about 600 people.
Is
and
that
it's got
right?
a huge deck. And, it is, the thing about it is that you want to have a space that can be a really gathering space for the community. And oftentimes we have these big gatherings. They usually happen in an auditorium or they happen in places that are, you walk in, you look, you see something and they leave. We believe in having people stay together, break bread together, have a drink together in order for them to be able to have a much richer and deeper conversation with one another. And, Columbia is no different than other communities. They have their challenges. So having places that bring the whole community together, I think, are really key and important to have a thriving and sustainable community.
That is so exciting. I am so pleased. Well, tell us how your DC stores. I remember the excitement around the store opening, your restaurant opening in Anacostia. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I before I talk about my stores, that Kyle Rittenhouse trial really took my breath away. I have to tell you.
Let's talk about politics. Yes.
I apologize. Politics to me is life. Politics to me is life. It is, a lot of people. I remember when I opened my restaurant, people would say, like, keep politics out. Politics are not the place. I said, how is it possible for us to keep politics out? It's like keeping oxygen out. Politics affects all of us. We cannot turn a blind eye to it and pretend like we have it doesn't have an impact. Yes, it's messy, it's ugly, it's all this, but that's democracy. That's what you have to do. If you don't get engaged, you become crushed. We don't want to be in that situation. We want to be, active participants in this democracy. But the idea that someone who is an underage person can take an AR-15, automatic rifle, show up uncalled in a where there's chaos and there's all kinds of stuff happening, and walk around with the gun slung across his shoulder and then claim self-defense is like, what the hell are you doing there to begin with? Mm-hmm. And why the hell are you carrying an illegal weapon that is deadly, and and be able to go around shooting people, killed 3 people, and be then found not guilty because the judge was acting as the defense lawyer for this man.
Yes,
it is disgusting. If this guy was black or brown or Muslim, we know what the verdict would have been. We know exactly what the verdict would have been. It would the jury would not have deliberated 3.5 days. They would have deliberated 3.5 minutes and came back with the results that we all expect.
Andy, I couldn't stand every time I saw his face all balled up crying on TV.
I mean, all crying.
I couldn't take it.
Goddamn break. It's just beyond words, And then to turn around and look in Congress and this congressman, supposedly Paul Gosar, to be able to create this cartoon and make it into an anime video of slaying and killing another member of Congress and the president, and be able to get away with it.
Yes.
It's like
a censure. What is that? Like tapping his hand.
Unbelievable. And to have it be such a close vote. That's the shocking part about it.
It was.
It's crazy. We're living in crazy land.
Yes, we are.
And this is, what it is? It's the last gasps of white supremacy. It's becoming. They're scared as hell. They think it's that whiteness and white supremacy is a dying thing. Yeah. And now you're seeing the anger and the hate.
They won't have a majority.
White people are dwindling, and they know that, and they are trying to say, okay, we need guns, we need things to protect our whiteness. And, it's not about white people. It really isn't. I mean, there's a lot of great white people, no doubt about it, but it's about whiteness, about wanting to own whiteness, because whiteness is power in this country. We see it every single day, and it was shown in Technicolor today on television with Kyle Rittenhouse's verdict. Yes. It's just, it takes your breath away.
Yes, it does, Andy, and I thank you for bringing that up.
But on the upside, we have the governor of Oklahoma stopped the execution of an innocent man, Julius Jones.
Yes, he did. Wasn't that a great celebration?
It was incredible, and it really spoke to the power of people coming out in droves, people from the top all the way to the grassroots, calling, writing, tweeting, emailing, whatever it takes to let this governor know that this man, I don't know whether he did it or not. All I know is the evidence is not clear. And that's all I could say. To me, the death penalty is a barbaric act from the get-go. It's not something that any country that calls itself civilized should be involved in.
And you definitely shouldn't execute someone when you cannot be 100% sure they did it.
Exactly. And oftentimes you're not 100%. In fact, the Innocence Project has shown people have been executed and later found to be not guilty.
That's right.
You can't take life
and you
back.
Can't bring them back. No, you can't.
Absolutely. So it's been an interesting week, to say the least. But yeah.
Oof. All right, Andy. Thank you. I appreciate you for helping me out with some more politics, because you know me. I work for the city council, and I've been into politics, and all the stuff I've been doing has been political too. So I'm right with you.
Yep.
So Andy, though, before we run out, we only have a couple of more minutes. Just give us some closing comments then about your restaurant business. Maybe give the people some tips in case they want to be like you.
Well, I would love, anybody can contact me, Andy at busboysandpoets.com. I do a lot of mentoring and conversations with folks who are looking to do business or want to do business. I'd be happy to help out any way I can to answer questions or help navigate things that people may have questions about. I am looking to go outside the DMV. I'm looking in areas like Oakland, California. I was there about 2 weeks ago, met with some folks. Met with Angela Davis actually there, and thinking about doing a place out there, thinking about doing a place in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn, New York, thinking about doing a place in Newark. So looking.
I did not feel it. You didn't tell me that, but I could feel it.
Yeah,
it's so powerful. So, and it's such a good concept. So,
and every community needs to have a place that people can gather, people can have, break bread together, and can feel safe, can feel like their ideas and their opinions matter, and there's someone there listening and someone there that they connect with that has similar ideas.
Well, I had my book signing at your K Street store, and we had a sold-out crowd. It was about 10 years ago, but I have certainly enjoyed participating with you. Andy, I thank you for being my guest today. I tell you, I think I'm going to have you back on again. I enjoyed you.
It would be my pleasure, Lydia. Anytime. Just give me a call and I'm there.
Yes, I sure will. Thank you for being my guest today. Anything else you want to tell us before you sound off?
No, thank you so much for all that you do, and appreciate all your listeners and all the support the community has given me. I am so honored to be part of this community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Andy Shallal, owner.
Love you. Bye-bye.
I love you too. Owner of 9 or 10 Busboys and Poets throughout the D.C. area, and you heard it right here on the Lyndia Grant Show. He's going to take it national. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm going to give my close right now. Remember, November is National Diabetes Month. Do these 4 things for me if you have diabetes. Start studying the correct diet if you're diabetic. Exercise 5 days a week. Check your A1C. That's your blood sugar level. And also make a lifestyle change. You can't do it for 2 or 3 weeks or a month like you might want to go on a diet, or 6 months. You got to do that for the rest of your life. All right. So we hope that you will tune in again next week. Our guest is going to be the one and only Reverend Nikita D. Wilson, and that's going to be Black Friday. That is the day after Thanksgiving, when everybody will be out spending all that little bit of money they still got. And so I will be doing my show. I'm not sure if I can come in. I hope so. Our technician can let me know if I'm coming in on Thursday or if I'm doing it by phone. So we'll see. We'll work that out. But we know we're going to do the show Black Friday. All right. So I'm going to do my close now. Words, thoughts, and deeds. Oh, and I want to invite you to my church, because tomorrow is Men's Day. The All Nations Baptist Church. Our service is 11 o'clock. We're located at 2001 North Capitol Street, Northeast, Washington, D.C. My pastor is the Reverend Dr. James Coleman. Men's Day. If you want to dress like our men, come in a black suit and a white shirt and a red necktie. All right, that does it for this week. Tune in again next week. We hope that you enjoyed
I'm Latrice,
the show.
The receptionist at the malpractice law firm Jack Olander and Associates. I answer the phone when you call 202-879-7777. Our experienced malpractice trial lawyers, Jack Olander, Harlow Case, Sandra Robinson, and...
All right, I'm going to close now. Words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect. So be careful what you send out. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So think on these things. From the Lyndia Grant Show, I'm your host, Lyndia Grant. Happy Thanksgiving and have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.